Do you think, obviously we know now he was constantly trying to get access to young, vulnerable women and stuff like that to take control of them and, live out his sick, sadistic, twisted fantasies. Do you think that he just let men in there for cover?
Yeah, and these women, I knew them. They were fit. They were exercised. They had infrared saunas. They drank kombucha and green juice. These were fit women who
What
all
kind
of a
of
sudden,
cancer?
Barbara Jeske had a brain tumor, and Pam K. Fritz, his Julian, had a, I want to say liver. I forget exactly. You can probably look it up. It's been a while since I've talked about that, but I was at both of their funerals, and both of the women had very aggressive downfalls very, very quickly. And one of the women that I've talked to was there in Pam's hospital room when she was dying, and he was putting stuff in her IV bag. Yeah. So and I don't know why the FBI didn't touch that. I guess they had enough stuff to get him in jail without trying to prove that. But there's a lot of evidence that points to he just was.
The woman saw that happening?
And felt uncomfortable with it, but he's the vanguard. So,
So she didn't.
Yeah. And there's other things, there's other stories I could tell you that point to that. But those were the older women that had been with him and that were his age. And he was getting I would have been barely too old. They were talking women and they're 20, 30 years younger than him that were coming in, and he was expanding his harem. And I think the older women were
his
hey,
harem.
Yeah, his harem of women, his circle of spiritual wives. So he had to get rid of the old guard to make room for the new guard. Sorry, this is so dark.
No, it's I fully expected it because I know what that is, and you have a really good way of being able to delve into the stuff. And like I said before we got on camera, when it gets to stuff that you don't feel comfortable talking about, no problem at all. I just appreciate you sharing any of it. But it's strange, when I go to do one like this once in a while, where it's going to be really heavy stuff, and I know it's coming. I wake up a certain type of way in the morning, and I'm
really,
yeah. I don't know. I'm ready for it, but I'm not ready for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel the same way every time. I'm why am I still talking about this? Because it's sometimes it's cathartic. Sometimes it's ravages my nervous system.
But I think it helps a fuck ton of people you can't see.
Yeah,
because it allows people to see where you could fall into traps or where things in your life could be zigging, you want it to zag, and you pick the...
Honestly.
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you.
Every time I think I want to quit, and especially with our podcast, and it gets draining, and sometimes it's really rewarding and other times it's hard. Every time we want to quit, we get an email or a DM of I just got out of X thing because of the vow or because of your podcast. I'm okay, well, let's just keep going.
You're saving lives. That's a great thing.
Well, I get to help people, which is ironically what I wanted to do in NXIVM. I was helped and I felt changed, and then I wanted to do the same, which is why I was such a good recruiter, because I was I really believed in it, which we kind of skipped that part. We're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that. I'm just staying on Keith because we're kind of going through his psychology right now. So it's, you believe, and I would totally buy that. You believe that he may have even poisoned people around him and basically had them killed. That would make sense to me that he would do that. But, you mentioned he was building a harem here, and we're going to get to where that got really, really dark and quite literal. But, the organization is filled with hundreds of people, and it's men and women. Yeah.
Do you think, obviously we know now he was constantly trying to get access to young, vulnerable women and stuff like that to take control of them and, live out his sick, sadistic, twisted fantasies. Do you think that he just let men in there for cover?
Kinda. Yeah. I think so. With my husband, who's former quarterback, Ivy League, went to Brown, model, a handsome man. And he wasn't targeted the same way. I think he was there so that it would give credibility for other people to look well, he's here. You know what I mean? Obviously, Keith's not trying to get him into his harem, but it's he gets to have a loyal soldier on the outside.
I think it was, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong here, maybe it was Mark who was saying in the vow, Mark Vicente, that he was the only male friend Keith had. He was the only one from the organization that really hung around Keith, and Keith seemed to enjoy hanging around him. And my takeaway was, well, that's because Mark's capturing him and is putting him on film to build his legacy, and he sees, the cameraman as the creator of that. Is that a fair takeaway?
Yeah. And I think that, in the same way that like I didn't take to Keith, I more took to Nancy and her daughter Lauren, who's the person I really looked up to, which comes in later. Yeah. Mark really did put Keith on a pedestal. And, I don't know if Sarma talks about this in part 2, but we all have our patterns. There's fight or flight, and there's also fawn. Fawn. Which
I don't think she said that term.
Because she hadn't read the book yet. I just gave it to her, and we're reading it together right now. And it's something that we both did, which is like there's fight or flight, right? Which everyone knows about. It's survival. Freeze, which often happens in like a Harvey Weinstein situation where women just like freeze and dissociate, and they just have to get through it because they know they can't fight back. And then there's fawn, which is to be agreeable, to be sometimes even flirty, which can happen in one of those situations. And that certainly happened with me where I'm like, I better just appease this to smooth it out until I can get out. Right. I've never had a situation like we talked about earlier, but I've had similar, like could have gone that way.
For sure. You're dangerously close by the end.
Yeah, dangerously close. And appeasing and being a people pleaser, which I actually remember Nadine was talking about on your podcast, was like, yes, how, women are conditioned to be agreeable and to otherwise you're a bitch, right? And I didn't have the term fawn in my vocabulary, but I knew that I knew I was a people pleaser. I knew I was an accommodator. I'm being a caretaker, an overmother, like a nurturer. I was like, that's just sort of like, you're not feeling well. I have a vitamin C in my bag. Let me take care of that for you. Like that feels really good for me. And that sort of feeds into the whole, like, we're going to get along and I'm going to be appreciated by you. And that's my value. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where do you think that came from? You wanting to take care of people? Does that have anything to do with your way younger brother? Or
my mom got really, so after my parents divorced, my mom got really sick and she had rheumatoid arthritis. Oh, wow. And this chunk of my life is I don't have a lot of memories, but I have a very strong memory of like rubbing cream into her feet so she could walk at a young age. And I just don't think I had a really necessarily normal childhood in that way. Maybe like reverse parenting in terms of like caretaking, like didn't have the full, like I think I felt better being somebody who could take care of others. And I think my parents were going through stuff and I kind of grew up quickly in that way.
Yeah. I was talking with Sarma about like her love languages and where some of that like could have come in, but it's kind of coming in with you too. Like clearly your affirmation, your probably quality time as well, because you wanted to feel a part of things around people. And then at least on an active level, how you show love is service.
Yes.
Is it in the same direction coming back to you too? Do you value when people show that to you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, truthfully, I love them all. I also like gifts.
Yeah, no, there's people who are dominant in 4 sometimes.
Yeah,
but and have all 5 in some degree.
Yeah, and affirmation is important to me as well, and that's something that I have to
that's clear.
Yeah, yes. I have to like tell Nippy, I'm like, I need you to tell me now, that I look good or like that you love me, because that was not his love language at all, and that was something we've grown. That's a separate podcast.
Yeah, no, that's interesting too. Like you guys had a lot of things stacked against you. And
we really did. And especially, this is a total tangent, but especially next year, we weren't allowed to have needs. Like anything beyond Maslow's, like food, water, shelter, is what was called a desire. So if I had a need to, like if I felt like Nippy and I started long distance and I felt like upset that he wouldn't text me to say goodnight. If I were to say, can you like communicate with me? Because I want to like, know that we're together and you love me or whatever. That the response would be, I would have to go get an EM, because why do I need him to be anything different for me to be okay?
Whoa.
Yeah. So we learn to not have needs. Like I need to self-soothe. I need to love myself. I don't need anything from the outside world. So by the end of NXIVM, we had to like really do a lot of unwinding to be like, I need to connect with you right now because I would like to talk to you. Like that's really hard.
Yeah.
And
it's like you have to deprogram yourself.
100%.
Like you're a real human in every way. You recognize things, you feel things, but you've had this virus software put in you. And it's not just as simple as like dragging it to the trash box and hitting an empty box. You got to like call over a coder and type in a lot of shit and like You know?
100%.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.